The sun rises over a quiet, secluded farm, casting golden hues across an open field. A small house stands in the middle of this peaceful setting, where Dom Toretto, Vin Diesel, has built a life away from the chaos he once thrived in. He steps outside wearing his signature white tank top, his hands rough from working on an old tractor. This is not the Dom we once knew, the man who lived for the thrill of street racing and high-speed heists. This Dom has slowed down, choosing a simpler life with Letty, Michelle Rodriguez, and their young son, Brian. Dom kneels beside his truck, making small adjustments to the engine. Beside him, little Brian mimics his father, holding a wrench too big for his small hands. Letty watches from the porch, a knowing smile on her lips. She sees how Dom tries to keep his past buried, but she also knows that deep down, a part of him still craves the life he left behind. A quiet life may be safe, but it's not in his blood. Inside, their home is modest yet filled with love. The walls display family photos, reminders of the people who have come and gone, their crew, their friends, those they've lost. Dom places a plate of food in front of Brian, who eagerly eats while Letty sips her coffee. It's a rare moment of normalcy for them. No gunfire, no chases, no life or death decisions. Just a family having breakfast. But peace never lasts in Dom's world. A familiar sound interrupts their morning routine, the distant rumble of approaching vehicles. Dom's eyes narrow as he stands, already sensing that trouble has found them. Letty exchanges a look with him, knowing without words that their time in this quiet sanctuary is about to come to an end. The cars pull up, dust rising in the air as three figures step out: Roman, Tyrese Gibson, Tej, Ludacris, and Ramsey, Nathalie, Emmanuel. Their expressions are serious, their presence unexpected. Dom already knows this isn't a social visit. He sighs, wipes his hands on a rag, and steps forward. "What's going on?" he asks, his voice calm but firm. Roman, never one to hold back, jumps straight in. "Mr. Nobody's plane went down. He sent us a distress signal." Tay adds, "He was transporting something big, something dangerous, and now it's missing." Dom's jaw tightens. Mr. Nobody, Kurt Russell, has always been a shadowy figure, operating the gray areas of government and espionage. If he needed help, it meant something major was at stake. But Dom hesitates. He left that world behind. He has a family to protect now. Ramsey senses his reluctance. "Dom, this isn't just any mission. We found a recording. Cypher was on that plane." That name sends a chill through the air. Cypher, Charlize Theron, the ruthless cyber terrorist who nearly tore Dom's family apart, is back in play. Whatever she was after, whatever Mr. Nobody was guarding, it's now loose in the world. Dom turns to Letty, searching her face for an answer, but he already knows what she's going to say. "You know we can't ignore this," she tells him, her voice steady. "If Cypher's involved, it's only a matter of time before she comes for us." Dom looks at Brian, his innocent face unaware of the storm that's about to come. The weight of fatherhood presses down on him. He left this life to keep his son safe. But can he really stay out of it if the world is in danger? Can he live with himself if he ignores the call and something happens? He turns back to his crew. "Where did the plane go down?" Roman grins. "Knew you couldn't resist. Monte Quinto, middle of nowhere, jungle terrain. We gotta move fast." Dom glances at Letty. She nods. "I'm coming with you." Without another word, Dom makes his decision. He walks into the barn, pulling a tarp off his signature Dodge Charger. The engine growls to life as he runs his hands over the smooth metal. The past may have come knocking, but Dom Toretto is ready to answer. As they prepare to leave, Letty crouches next to Brian, pressing a kiss to his forehead. "Stay safe," she whispers. He doesn't fully understand why they're leaving, but he nods, trusting his parents. Dom kneels beside him, placing a strong hand on his son's small shoulder. "Be good. I'll be back soon." But even as he says it, he knows that nothing is certain. He stands, looks at Letty, and without needing to say a word, they both get into their cars. Roman and Teish follow, engines roaring as they speed down the dirt road, leaving behind the quiet farm. The road ahead is uncertain. Cypher is still out there. Mr. Nobody's fate is unknown. And whatever was on that plane could change everything. But for Dom, one thing remains the same. When family is in danger, he will always be the first to step up. As the dust settles, Brian watches from the porch, unaware that his father is heading into another battle. The life of a Toretto is never quiet for long. And so, the race begins again. As Dom and his crew speed toward Montequinto, the tension inside the vehicles is palpable. The roar of engines fills the air, but inside the cars the weight of the mission hangs heavily on everyone's minds. Dom grips the steering wheel tightly, his thoughts racing just as fast as the charger beneath him. He knows that whenever Mr. Nobody is involved, the stakes are beyond anything they can imagine. But it's not just the mission that unsettles him. It's the name Cypher. Cypher isn't just any enemy. She's the one who forced him to betray his own family. She's the one who played mind games, who manipulated and orchestrated chaos, who left scars that hadn't fully healed. And now, she's back in the game. As they reach the outskirts of Montequinto, the lush jungle surrounds them. The humid air is thick with tension as they navigate through the dense foliage, following the coordinates from Mr. Nobody's distress signal. The deeper they go, the more unsettling the scene becomes. Birds scatter at the sound of their arrival, and the forest is eerily quiet, as if it knows what they are about to uncover. The wreckage of the plane is finally in sight. The massive aircraft lies in pieces, smoke still rising from the torn metal. The nose of the plane is buried deep into the earth, while scattered debris covers the surrounding trees. The scent of burning fuel lingers in the air. This isn't just a crash, it's a battlefield. Dom and Letty step out first, scanning the area cautiously. Roman, Tay, and Ramsey follow, weapons drawn. There's no telling who else might be lurking. The scene feels too perfect, too still. Ramsey approaches the broken fuselage, scanning for any sign of a black box or transmission logs. If Mr. Nobody went down here, there should be some kind of distress beacon. Roman walks over to a crate with a government insignia, kicking it open. Okay, tell me this isn't weird. This place looks like someone cleaned it up already. Tay steps beside him, nodding. Yeah, man. I've seen plane crashes before. This looks staged. Dom picks up a piece of shattered glass, his sharp eyes catching something in the dirt. A set of tire tracks leading away from the wreckage. Someone left here in a hurry. Somebody got to this site before us, Letty murmurs, looking at Dom. Whoever they were, they took what they wanted and left the rest. Just then, Ramsey calls out, "Got something!" She pulls up a half-damaged security feed from the plane's black box, the static-filled footage barely holding together. She plays the last recorded transmission from Mr. Nobody. His voice crackles through the device. They came fast. Too fast. We lost control. I had to make a choice. Cypher's not going down with us. Secure the package at all costs. If you're hearing this, she's out. The words send a shockwave through the group. Cypher had been on this plane, and now she's missing. Roman stares at the wreckage, his nerves getting the best of him. Wait. So we came all the way out here just to find out that the world's deadliest hacker terrorist just walked away from a plane crash? That's great! That's just great. Letty shakes her head. She didn't just walk away. Someone helped her. Tay, scanning the area with a drone, suddenly stiffens. Guys, we've got company. Out of the jungle, armed mercenaries emerge, their weapons locked and loaded. They move with military precision, surrounding the crew. And then, from the shadows, a figure steps forward. Dom freezes. It's Jakob. The younger Toretto brother, dressed in tactical gear, eyes his brother coldly. He walks with confidence, a smirk playing on his lips. In his hands is a metal case, the missing half of Ares. Long time, brother, Jakob says, his voice calm but laced with something deeper. Bitterness. Resentment. Dom's eyes harden. What are you doing here, Jakob? Jakob glances at the wreckage, then back at Dom. Cleaning up a mess. The kind of mess you wouldn't understand. Letty steps forward. You took Cypher. Jakob chuckles. No, Letty. I secured a valuable asset. There's a difference. Roman mutters under his breath. Man, you guys really need to work out your family issues. Jakob ignores him. He tilts his head at Dom. You always thought you were the only one who could protect people, the only one who could make the hard choices, but you never saw the bigger picture. I do. Dom takes a step closer. You have no idea what you're getting into. Jakob raises the metal case. I know exactly what I'm doing, and unlike you, I don't let emotions cloud my judgment. Before Dom can respond, one of Jakob's men throws a smoke grenade. The jungle erupts in chaos as the mercenaries move in. Letty and Tej fire back while Roman dives for cover. Ramsey scrambles to grab as much data from the wreckage as she can. Dom charges toward Jakob, fists clenched, but his younger brother is already on the move. He leaps into a waiting armored vehicle, speeding off with his men. The case cipher, the mission, everything slips through Dom's fingers in an instant. As the smoke clears, Letty stands beside Dom, breathing heavily. What the hell just happened? Dom doesn't answer right away. He stares after Jakob, his mind racing. This wasn't just about Cypher. This was about family, about history, about a past he thought he had buried long ago. He turns to the crew. We need to move. Now. Tay, still catching his breath, mutters, I don't like where this is going. Ramsey pulls up her tablet, tracking Jakob's signal. We might have lost them for now, but he's not off the grid yet. We can find him. Dom exhales sharply. Cypher is loose. Jakob is working with powerful people. And whatever game they're playing, it's only just beginning. As the crew regroups, Dom walks back to his car, gripping the steering wheel harder than ever before. He had spent years trying to move on from his past, but now his own blood was standing in his way. This wasn't just another mission. This was personal, and he wasn't about to lose. Dom Toretto has faced powerful enemies before: drug lords, mercenaries, war criminals, and cyber terrorists. But nothing cuts deeper than this. His own brother, Jakob Toretto, has just stolen the key to Ares and disappeared into the night. For Dom, this isn't just another mission. It's a wound reopening, an old scar suddenly burning as if it had never healed. The jungle air is still thick with smoke as the team regroups. Letty glances at Dom, waiting for him to say something. But he's silent. He stands at the edge of the wreckage, staring into the distance where Jakob's convoy vanished. His hands are clenched into fists. His jaw is tight. We need to figure out where he's going, Tay says, breaking the silence. He pulls up a map on his tablet, scanning for possible escape routes. If he has the other half of Ares, he won't waste time. He's going to finish what he started. Roman scoffs, shaking his head. Man, I can't believe this. Another secret sibling? First we had to deal with Shaw, now Dom's got a long-lost brother? What's next? An evil twin? Ramsey ignores him, focusing on the data. Jakob wouldn't be working alone. He's too smart for that. If he wanted Ares, he already had a plan before we even got here. Letty looks at Dom, trying to read him. Dom, what's the story here? You never told us you had a brother. Dom's expression hardens. He exhales slowly, turning toward them. Because he wasn't my brother anymore. The weight of those words hangs heavy in the air. For years, Dom has spoken about family as the unbreakable bond that holds everything together. And yet, here's a piece of that family, shattered and left in the past. Letty steps closer. Tell me. Dom hesitates. He spent so long burying this part of his life, locking it away like an old engine he never wanted to rebuild. But now the past is driving straight toward him at full speed. Jakob and I grew up racing side by side, Dom begins, his voice lower, rougher. When our dad was on the track, he made us believe we were unstoppable, that if we stuck together we could take on the world. We had nothing back then, just each other. Roman and Tej exchange glances. They'd never heard Dom talk about his childhood like this. Dom continues, his eyes distant, as if he's seeing it all again. Everything changed the day our dad died. Letty already knows the story. She was there when Dom went to prison for what happened afterward. But she's never heard this part. Our dad crashed that day, and I had to watch him burn, Dom says, his voice cracking just slightly. But it wasn't an accident. I found out someone tampered with his car, and when I went looking for answers. He pauses. The next words are the hardest. I found Jakob under the hood. The group falls silent. You thought he killed your father? Ramsey asks carefully. Dom nods. I confronted him. He didn't deny it. He just stood there, said nothing. He clenches his fists. So I made him race me. Loser leaves town forever. Letty exhales. And he lost. Dom looks away. I never saw him again, until now. For a moment, no one speaks. The idea that Dom has a brother, one he exiled, is something none of them saw coming. Tej, ever the strategist, clears his throat. Okay, so we know there's history, but the question is, what's Jakob's endgame? Ramsey pulls up more data on Ares. With both halves, the device can hack into any weapon system in the world. It's not just about control, it's about power. Roman folds his arms. And let me guess, he's got someone bankrolling him? Tej taps the screen, revealing a photo of Otto, a young billionaire with a smirk that screams privilege and arrogance. Meet Otto. He's got money, connections, and no moral compass. If Jakob's working with him, that means they have the resources to go global. Letty shakes her head. Jakob doesn't need the money. He's after something else. Dom looks at the screen, his eyes narrowing. He wants to prove himself. They all turn to him. All these years, I thought Jakob was gone. That he moved on. But he didn't. Dom's voice is heavy with realization. He spent his whole life trying to be something bigger than me. Stronger, faster, smarter. He doesn't just want power, he wants to win. Letty sighs. Then he's more dangerous than we thought. Roman groans. Man, why can't these bad guys ever just rob banks like normal criminals? Dom doesn't laugh. His mind is already racing ahead, piecing together where Jakob might be heading next. Ramsey interrupts his thoughts. I traced Jakob's last known safe house. If he's regrouping anywhere, it's in London. Dom nods. Then we go to London. As they turn to leave, Letty catches Dom's arm. Are you ready for this? He meets her gaze. I don't have a choice. She squeezes his hand. You always have a choice. But as Dom walks back to his charger, he knows that isn't true. Jakob is more than just an enemy. He is a reminder of the past Dom has tried to forget. He is proof that family isn't just about loyalty, it's about consequences. And now, Dom has to face the one person who knows him better than anyone else. His brother. As Dom and Letty head toward London in search of Jakob, Roman, Tay, and Ramsey, board a flight to Tokyo. The mission? Find answers. Jakob is after the two halves of Ares, and if Cypher was involved, there had to be more pieces of the puzzle. Tokyo wasn't just another lead, it was a city that held secrets tied to their past. The neon lights of Tokyo illuminate the night sky as the trio touches down. The streets are buzzing with life, packed with pedestrians, fast cars, and a rhythm unique to the city. Roman, always eager to play tourist, looks around in awe. Man, I forgot how much I love this place. The food, the cars, the ladies. Tokyo's got it all. Tay rolls his eyes. We're not here on vacation, Rome. Ramsey checks her phone, reading a message from an encrypted contact. The last person seen with Mr. Nobody before the crash was a woman named Elle. She was in Tokyo when everything went down. Roman raises an eyebrow. Elle? As in, one person, one name? Like Madonna? Tay shakes his head. More like a mystery wrapped in a riddle. Nobody knows much about her, but if she was connected to Mr. Nobody, she must be important. They follow the coordinates to a quiet part of town, where the bright lights fade into the distance. They arrive at a small, nondescript garage, its exterior covered in graffiti. The air is thick with the scent of gasoline and burning rubber. Inside, a group of mechanics work on a fleet of modified cars. A young woman, dressed in all black, stands at the center of the garage, tightening a bolt on a sleek sports car. She moves with precision, her every motion calculated. This is Elle. She doesn't look up as the trio enters. You're late, she says, her voice calm but firm. Roman smirks. We weren't exactly invited. Elle finally turns, her sharp eyes scanning them. You're not cops, and you're definitely not Yakuza, so who the hell are you? Ramsey steps forward. We're looking for answers. Mr. Nobody. He sent a distress call before his plane went down. We think he was protecting something that led us here. Elle studies them for a moment before grabbing a dusty box from a nearby shelf. She sets it on the hood of a car and flips it open, revealing a small metallic disc. It looks like a piece of advanced technology, half of something bigger. Tay whistles. That's the other half of Ares, isn't it? Elle nods. My father helped develop it. He was a scientist working in secret for the government. When he realized how dangerous it was, he went underground. Mr. Nobody was the only one who knew where to find him. Roman folds his arms. Let me guess. Jakob and his crew came knocking. Elle's expression hardens. A few weeks ago, men came looking for this. They killed my father trying to get it. Mr. Nobody promised to keep me safe, but after the plane crash, I've been on my own. There's a heavy silence. Tay, usually the logical one, shakes his head. Dan. So if Jakob gets this, he has full control of Ares. Elle nods. If he gets it, no system in the world is safe. Not military defense grids, not power stations, nothing. Ramsey's mind is already spinning. Then we have to stop him before he finds us. Before anyone can respond, a noise outside makes Elle tense. The soft hum of engines idling. The trio exchanges glances. Trouble. Yo. Elle moves quickly, shutting the box and tossing it to Ted. We have to go. Now. The garage door explodes inward as armed men storm inside, weapons raised. A hail of bullets shatters the windshield of a nearby car, sending sparks flying. Elle dives behind cover, motioning for the others to follow. Roman pulls out his gun. Oh, come on. Why does this always happen when I'm around? Tay peeks over the hood of the car. Maybe because you never shut up? Ramsey, trying to hack into her phone to disable the attacker's communication, curses under her breath. I need a few seconds. Elle isn't waiting. She grabs a wrench and launches herself at the nearest attacker, moving like a trained fighter. She disarms one man with brutal efficiency, taking him down before dodging another swing. Roman and Tej provide cover fire as the team scrambles toward the garage's back exit. We need a car? Tej shouts. Elle tosses Roman a set of keys. Try not to crash it. Roman looks at the car, a sleek Nissan Skyline, midnight blue by Cheyenne. Oh, this is gonna be fun. The four of them pile in as Tay takes the driver's seat, slamming his foot on the gas. The tires screech as they tear out onto the streets of Tokyo, their pursuers close behind. The chase is relentless, weaving through traffic, dodging bullet fire. Elle guides them, shouting directions. There's a tunnel up ahead. Take the right exit. Tay barely makes the turn, drifting sideways before regaining control. Roman, looking back, sees motorcycles closing in fast. Guys, they're bringing out the ninjas on bikes again. Elle reaches into the glove compartment and pulls out a compact EMP device. Roll down your window. Roman hesitates. Why? Just do it. He does, and Elle leans out, pressing a button. A pulse of energy erupts from the device, disabling the motorcycles instantly. The riders swerve uncontrollably before crashing into the pavement. Roman watches in awe. Okay, I officially like her. Tay laughs. We'll see if she still likes us when this is over. They finally lose their pursuers and pull into a hidden alleyway. The streets are silent once more. Elle exhales, looking at them. You guys are reckless. Roman grins. Yeah, but we're also damn good at what we do. Elle hesitates before nodding. Fine, I'll go with you. If we're gonna stop Jakob, we need to get that device as far away from him as possible. Ramsey smirks. Welcome to the team. Elle looks at them one last time before opening the car door. Just one rule. No one touches my car but me. Roman pouts. See? I knew there'd be a catch. As they drive off into the night, they know this is just the beginning. The battle for Ares isn't just about technology. It's about stopping a war before it starts. And with Jakob one step ahead, time is running out. The road to saving the world always leads through dangerous places. But for now, in the neon-lit streets of Tokyo, they have a fighting chance. As Dom Toretto lands in London, his mind is racing almost as fast as his car will be in a few hours. The city, with its mix of old-world charm and modern chaos, is a fitting battlefield for what lies ahead. Dom isn't here for sightseeing. He's hunting for a ghost from his past, his brother Jakob. He knows Jakob is here, and he knows his little brother isn't working alone. London's streets are alive with the sound of bustling crowds, the wail of sirens in the distance, and the hum of high-performance engines. Dom moves through the city with purpose, every step heavy with the weight of old memories and new threats. The first stop. A contact who has helped him in the past, Magdalene Queenie Shaw. Dom pulls up to a swanky bar in the heart of London. Inside, the atmosphere is thick with cigar smoke and the clinking of expensive glasses. The elite of the city are here, business moguls, underground crime lords, and people who operate outside the law. And sitting at the center of it all, wearing a shimmering dress that screams both danger and elegance, is Queenie Shaw. She sees Dom before he even reaches her. With a sly grin, she leans back, swirling the drink in her hand. "Dominic Toretto," she purrs. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" Dom sits across from her, his fingers tapping against the wooden table. "I need information." Queenie raises an eyebrow. "Ah, straight to business. No pleasantries, no. How have you been, Queenie? You Americans always in such a rush." Dom exhales. "Jakob, he's here." Queenie's smile doesn't fade, but there's a flicker of something in her eyes. Recognition. She leans forward slightly. "You've got a family problem, love, and not the warm, fuzzy kind." Dom nods. "I need to know where he is." Queenie chuckles. "Do you know how many criminals walk through my city every day, and you expect me to keep tabs on just one?" Dom isn't amused. He leans in, lowering his voice. "You and I both know you have eyes everywhere. You helped Deckard disappear when he needed to. You've gotten your boys out of tight spots more times than I can count. If Jakob is here, you know where." Queenie lets out a small sigh, then downs the rest of her drink. "You're lucky I like you, Dom." She pulls out a phone, scrolling through messages. After a beat, she tosses it onto the table. "Word is your brother has been moving fast. Hush-hush deals, hidden meetings. But he's not alone. There's a young billionaire, Otto, who thinks he's smarter than the rest of us. And together, they're after something big." Dom picks up the phone, scanning the information. An address. Queenie smirks. "That's where they were last seen. But you best hurry. Boys like Jakob don't stay in one place for long." Dom nods in gratitude. He stands, turning to leave, but Queenie's voice stops him. "Dom," she says, her tone unusually serious. "Family's tricky business. Be careful, love." Dom gives her a small nod before heading out the door. London at night is a city made for speed. As Dom tears through the streets in his black Dodge Charger, he pushes the engine harder than ever. The address Queenie gave him leads to an industrial district, an area filled with abandoned warehouses and underground operations. And then he sees it, Jakob's convoy, moving fast. Dom doesn't hesitate. He accelerates, weaving through traffic as he closes the distance. The vehicles ahead are sleek, high-tech, built for speed and armored for battle. Whatever Jakob is transporting, he doesn't want anyone getting close. Jakob's men spot Dom, and in an instant, the chase turns deadly. The convoy splits up, forcing Dom to make a choice. He doesn't hesitate. He locks onto the lead car, the one he knows his brother is in. Jakob, seeing Dom in pursuit, smirks inside his car. He expected this. He welcomes it. He grips the wheel tighter, pushing his vehicle to its limit. The streets become a war zone. Jakob's men fire at Dom's tires, but he maneuvers skillfully, dodging the shots. He rams one of the escort cars, sending it spinning into a street lamp. Sparks fly as metal scrapes against concrete. Jakob, unfazed, takes a sharp turn, leading Dom onto a bridge overlooking the Thames River. The city lights reflect off the water, casting long shadows as the two brothers race side by side. Finally, Dom sees his chance. He swerves hard, slamming his car into Jakob's, forcing him toward the guardrail. The two vehicles grind against each other, neither driver backing down. Through the tinted window, Jakob meets Dom's gaze. And for a split second, time slows. Dom sees the little brother he once knew. The kid who always looked up to him, who idolized him, who wanted nothing more than to be like him. But now, All he sees is a man filled with resentment. Jakob grits his teeth and suddenly jerks the wheel. His car pulls away, then with impossible precision, he hits a hidden ramp. His vehicle soars through the air, landing perfectly onto a transport truck that's been waiting for him. Within seconds, he's gone. Dom slams his fist against the steering wheel. Jakob had planned this. He had known Dom would come. And once again he had slipped through his fingers. Dom pulls his car to the side of the road, his chest heaving. Letty's voice comes through his earpiece. "Dom? Did you get him?" Dom exhales, staring at the empty road ahead. "No, but I know where he's going next." He looks down at the phone Queenie gave him, scrolling through the data. There's another location, a facility on the outskirts of town. Jakob isn't running. He's setting a trap. And Dom is walking straight into it. The sound of an engine idling in the darkness fills Dom Toretto's ears as he leans against his Charger, parked on the outskirts of London. The night air is cool, but the weight pressing on his chest is suffocating. The past has never truly left him. It lingers, waiting for moments like this to sink its claws in deep. His brother Jakob is no longer a memory. He's here, alive, and standing on the other side of a war Dom never saw coming. Dom closes his eyes for a moment, letting his mind drift back to a time before betrayal, before broken trust, before he forced Jakob to leave. Years ago, the Toretto brothers were inseparable. Growing up in their father's garage, they spent their days covered in grease, learning the ins and outs of cars before they could even legally drive. Their father, Jack Toretto, was their hero, a man who lived and breathed the roar of an engine. To them, he was invincible. But the world has a cruel way of proving even the strongest can fall. That fateful day at the racetrack plays in Dom's mind like a film reel he can't turn off. He remembers the scent of burning rubber, the metallic clang of tools being tossed between mechanics, the cheers of the crowd vibrating through the grandstands. His father sat behind the wheel, the car gleaming under the California sun, ready for the race that would unknowingly become his last. Dom and Jakob stood by the pit, watching intently, excitement in their young eyes. Their father had drilled one thing into them since they were old enough to understand. Racing wasn't just about speed, it was about heart. Then came the crash. Dom can still hear the deafening explosion. See the flames swallowing the wreckage in an instant. The car flipped, tumbled, and by the time it came to a stop, their father was gone. He never had a chance. For weeks, Dom replayed that moment in his mind, unable to accept that the man he idolized could simply vanish in a cloud of fire and smoke. But grief quickly turned to suspicion when Dom discovered something that shook him to his core. His father's car had been tampered with. The fuel line had been cut. And the only person who had been near the car that morning was Jakob. Dom clenches his fists, recalling the way his younger brother stood frozen when he confronted him in the garage late that night. "You did something to Dad's car," Dom had said, his voice dangerously low. Jakob didn't answer at first. His shoulders were tense, his hands gripping the edge of the workbench. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "It wasn't like that." But Dom was beyond reason. Grief had hardened into rage. "You killed him." Jakob's face twisted in pain. "You don't understand. It was never supposed to happen like that." Dom didn't want excuses. He wanted the truth. The truth his younger brother refused to give. That was the moment their bond shattered. And Dom did what he had always done when the weight of pain became too much to bear. He challenged it on the road. That night, under the glow of street lights, the two brothers lined up at an empty stretch of highway. The deal was simple. If Jakob lost, he left town and never came back. Engines revved. The pavement rumbled beneath them. When the light turned green, they launched forward, tires screaming as they tore down the road. It wasn't just a race, it was a reckoning. The only way Dom knew how to settle things. Jakob pushed hard, but Dom had years of experience and an advantage fueled by raw emotion. He cut Jakob off at the last second, forcing him to swerve, lose control. The race ended before it truly began. Dom stood by his car, watching as Jakob pulled over, his head bowed. The silence between them said more than words ever could. Jakob finally lifted his gaze, pain burning in his blue eyes. "You're really making me leave?" Dom didn't answer right away. His voice came out rough. "You made your choice." Jakob exhaled sharply, nodding. "One day, Dom, you're gonna realize the truth. And when you do, I won't be here." Then he was gone. Dom opens his eyes, shaking off the memory. He had spent years telling himself he was right to banish Jakob, that his younger brother had betrayed their family in the worst way possible. But now, standing here, he isn't so sure anymore. Letty walks up beside him, her presence grounding him. "You don't have to do this alone," she says softly. Dom glances at her, his expression unreadable. "I made him leave, Letty. I never looked back. Now he's built an entire empire just to prove he didn't need me." Letty studies him. "So, what are you gonna do about it?" Dom's jaw tightens. "I'm gonna find out what really happened that day." Because deep down, something Jakob said all those years ago lingers in his mind. One day, you're gonna realize the truth. If there's one thing Dom has learned over the years, is that family secrets don't stay buried forever. And Jakob has been waiting a long time for this moment. As Dom gets into his Charger, the weight of the past pressing on his chest, one thing is clear. This isn't just a fight to stop a dangerous weapon from falling into the wrong hands. It is a fight for the truth. And Dom Toretto never backs down from a race. The streets of Edinburgh are usually lined with history, a city where ancient castles meet modern architecture. But tonight, they're about to become a battleground. Jakob Toretto has been one step ahead of Dom and his crew, and now, the stakes are higher than ever. He has possession of the Ares device, half of it, at least, and is planning to retrieve the final piece. If he succeeds, there will be no stopping him. Dom stands at the edge of the city square, the cold Scottish air biting at his skin as he watches the movements of heavily armed mercenaries patrolling the streets. His mind is laser-focused. Jakob is here, and Dom is done letting him slip away. From a rooftop overlooking the city, Ramsey adjusts her earpiece. "All right, team. We've got eyes on the target." Jakob's convoy is moving through the financial district. Letty, crouched beside her with binoculars, exhales. "This feels wrong. Too easy." Tay's voice crackles over the comms. "That's because it is. You think Jakob's just strolling through Edinburgh without a backup plan." Roman chimes in, already complaining. "I just want to say, I had a bad feeling about this from the start. We are literally chasing an international fugitive in a city with more security cameras than anywhere else on the planet." Ramsey smirks. "Good thing we took out half those cameras then, huh?" Dom's voice cuts through. "Less talk, more action. We move now." They descend into the streets, weaving through alleyways, using the architecture to their advantage. The plan is simple. Intercept Jakob's convoy before he reaches his destination. But nothing ever goes according to plan. The moment they reach the convoy's route, all hell breaks loose. Blacked-out SUVs race through the streets, armored and reinforced, their engines roaring like caged animals. Inside one of them is Jakob, cool and composed, his hands gripping the wheel as he checks the rearview mirror. He knew Dom would come. He counted on it. With perfect timing, Dom cuts into the convoy's path, his charger screeching as he blocks their lead vehicle. The impact is instant. Cars swerve, tires screech, and pedestrians scatter. Jakob doesn't flinch. He simply smirks. Right on time, big brother. Dom accelerates, ramming one of the SUVs into a lamppost. Metal crunches as the car flips, tumbling onto its side. But Jakob's team is well prepared. Gunfire erupts from another vehicle, forcing Letty and Ramsey to take cover. Seriously, Roman yells, ducking as bullets whiz past. Why do these guys always have better weapons than us? Jakob's convoy regroups, maneuvering through tight alleyways, using the city itself as a weapon. He knows Edinburgh, and he's planned every escape route. Dom, unshaken, floors it, weaving through traffic as he gains on his brother. Jakob, he growls into the comms, broadcasting over a hacked frequency. Jakob chuckles as he presses his own earpiece. Dom, you never could let things go, could you? You don't have to do this. Do what? Take what should have been mine. Stand on my own instead of in your shadow. Oh, Dom, you don't even see it, do you? This isn't about power. It's about proving that I was never the weak one. Dom clenches his jaw, swerving onto a bridge. The towering Gothic buildings cast long shadows, the dim glow of streetlights flickering as he closes the gap between them. Jakob suddenly yanks the wheel, making an impossible turn down a narrow alley. Dom follows, knowing it's a trap but refusing to back down. The alley opens into a vast construction site, a maze of steel beams and unfinished roads. Jakob's car launches off a ramp, soaring through the air before landing onto a suspended platform. Dom doesn't hesitate. He follows. Mid-air, for a split second, time slows. Two brothers, two paths, two destinies colliding in the sky. Dom's car lands hard, sparks flying as his tires struggle for traction. Jakob is already accelerating, heading for the final exit. Then, the betrayal hits. Jakob isn't running to escape. He's leading Dom straight into a trap. Explosions detonate behind them, the entire site collapsing as preset charges detonate. The ground beneath Dom starts to break apart. Damn it, Jakob! Dom roars, barely keeping control as debris crashes around him. Jakob, just ahead, smirks. You always thought you were the only one who could play chess. Time to see what it feels like to be a pawn. The final stretch is chaos, Dom dodging falling steel beams, tires skidding over crumbling pavement. He is inches from catching Jakob when a cargo helicopter swoops in. Jakob hits a remote switch, and in an instant, his car is lifted into the air by a magnetic winch. He dangles there for a moment, looking down at Dom with an almost amused expression. Guess I'll see you at the finish line, Jakob says before disappearing into the night. Dom slams on the brakes, his car skidding to a stop as he watches his brother escape. Letty and the crew arrive seconds later, but Dom is still staring at the sky, jaw tight, muscles tense. Roman steps out of his car, looking up. Okay, is it just me? Or did we just lose to some Mission Impossible nonsense? Letty places a hand on Dom's shoulder. We'll get him. Dom exhales sharply, running a hand over his face. He's not just running, Letty. He's planning something bigger. Ramsey checks the data on her device. And I think I know what it is. She turns the screen toward Dom. A map, blinking red dots. Jakob isn't done yet. He's already planning his next move. And for the first time, Dom realizes this isn't just about Jakob proving himself. It's about something far more dangerous. Something that could change everything. As Dom and the team recover from the chaos in Edinburgh, Letty and Mia are already on a mission of their own. While the others focus on stopping Jacob's technological heist, they've been sent on a different kind of assignment, one that is just as critical. Their destination: Tokyo. The neon-lit city is alive with energy, but Letty and Mia aren't here for sightseeing. They're here for answers. Something about this entire situation feels off, and the last message from Mr. Nobody hinted at a key player they haven't met yet, someone named Elle. Letty parks her motorcycle outside a dimly lit ramen shop in a quieter part of the city. The air is thick with the scent of fresh broth and sizzling meat, but neither woman is in the mood for food. They exchange a glance before stepping inside. The restaurant is nearly empty. A lone cook behind the counter barely acknowledges them as they make their way to the back. Mia scans the room. "Are you sure this is the place?" Letty nods, her instincts sharp. "It's the address Ramsey gave us. Someone here knows something." At that moment, a door creaks open and a shadow moves in the corner of the room. A young woman steps into the light, cautious but unafraid. Her dark eyes study them with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. "You're looking for Elle," she says. It's not a question. Letty and Mia exchange another glance before Letty responds. "That depends. Are you Elle?" The young woman nods. "Who are you?" Mia takes a step forward, her voice calm but firm. "We're friends of Mr. Nobody. He sent us to find you." At the mention of Mr. Nobody's name, Elle's expression changes. Just for a second, a flicker of recognition and something else. "Pain, Dar." "You're too late," Elle says, crossing her arms. "Mr. Nobody's gone, and if you're here, that means they're coming for me next." Letty's muscles tense. "Who's coming for you?" Before Elle can answer, the windows shatter as armed men burst through, their movements swift and precise. The restaurant erupts into chaos. Letty doesn't hesitate. She grabs a wooden chair and swings it at the nearest attacker, knocking him backward. Mia ducks just in time as another man lunges for her, flipping the table between them to slow him down. Elle moves fast, too. She may be young, but she knows how to fight. She elbows an attacker in the ribs before slipping between two others, using their own momentum against them. Letty delivers a brutal roundhouse kick, sending another opponent crashing into a stack of crates. "Elle, move!" she shouts. Elle dashes toward the back exit, but the attackers are relentless. One grabs her arm, yanking her backward. Before she can react, Mia is there, landing a perfectly aimed punch to his jaw. Elle stares at Mia, surprised. "You fight?" Mia breathes heavily, shaking out her fist. "I grew up with Dom. Of course I fight." Letty grabs Elle's wrist, pulling her toward the alley. "Come on, we need to get out of here." They burst through the back door, but their problems aren't over yet. A convoy of black SUVs screeches to a stop in front of them, blocking the escape. Armed men pour out, forming a perimeter. Elle grits her teeth. They don't stop. Mia's heart pounds, scanning their surroundings. No easy exits. No backup. Just 3 women against an army. Letty exhales sharply. "Then we make them stop." Just as the mercenaries raise their weapons, the sound of screeching tires fills the alley. A sleek black car drifts into the scene, its headlights blinding their attackers. The driver's side door swings open and a familiar voice calls out, "Need a lift?" Letty's eyes widen. "Han." Elle gasps. "No way." Han smiles. "Miss me." Mia doesn't waste a second. "We'll talk later. Drive now." The women dive into the car as bullets ricochet off the pavement. Han slams on the gas, expertly maneuvering through Tokyo's twisting streets. Letty, catching her breath in the back seat, glances at Han. We thought you were dead. Han smirks, keeping his eyes on the road. Yeah, I get that a lot. Elle watches him closely. You're the guy Mr. Nobody told me about, aren't you? Han nods. And you're the reason I'm still alive. They finally reach a safe house, a quiet hideout on the edge of the city. The moment they step inside, Han locks the door behind them, ensuring they aren't followed. Elle crosses her arms. Start talking. Why did Mr. Nobody send you? Han sighs, rubbing the back of his neck. Because your father was one of the scientists who helped build Ares, and because you're the key to activating it. Mia's eyes widen. She's the key? Han nods. Not just anyone can use Ares. It's coded to Elle's DNA. That's why Jacob wants her. Elle clenches her fists. So I'm not just a target. I'm the prize. Letty steps forward. Then we won't let them take you. Elle looks at the three of them, the women who just risked their lives to protect her. For the first time in a long time, she feels something she hasn't allowed herself to feel in years. Hope. Han crosses his arms. Jakob's on the move, and if we don't stop him soon, the world is in trouble. Letty exhales. Then we'd better get moving. Mia places a hand on Elle's shoulder. You're not alone in this. Elle meets her gaze, a flicker of gratitude in her eyes. No, Elle says, straightening her posture. I'm not. And with that, they prepare for the next battle, one that will decide the fate of everything. Dom Toretto has been in tough situations before, but this time is different. As he regains consciousness, he feels the cold bite of concrete beneath him. His wrists ache from the steel cuffs binding them, and the dim light flickering from a single bulb casts long shadows on the prison cell walls. This wasn't part of the plan. The last thing he remembers is tracking Jacob, following a lead to an underground facility, only to be ambushed. He fought hard, but he was outnumbered. Now he's here, locked away, left to rot. Or worse, left to be forgotten. Dom takes a deep breath, centering himself. He's been in cages before, but no prison has ever held him for long. His entire life has been about escaping the impossible, and this time will be no different. The sound of heavy boots echoes down the corridor. A figure steps into view. Someone Dom hasn't seen in a long time. Otto. The smug young billionaire working with Jacob stands just beyond the bars, a smirk playing on his lips. His tailored suit is spotless, a stark contrast to the filth surrounding Dom. Comfortable, Toretto, Otto taunts, leaning against the bars. I have to say, I expected more of a fight. Dom says nothing, his dark eyes locked onto Otto's, his silence more intimidating than any words could be. Otto chuckles. See, you think this is temporary, that any second now your family is going to come busting in to rescue you. But let's be real, Dom. This time you're on your own. Dom finally speaks, his voice low and steady. Jacob put you up to this? Otto shrugs. Jacob? Oh, no. He's got bigger things to handle. This was my idea. See, unlike him, I know what you are, Toretto. You're not invincible. You're just a man who's relied on luck for too long. And right now, your luck's run out. Dom flexes his fists, his patience wearing thin. If you're trying to scare me, you're wasting your time. Otto sighs dramatically. Oh, I'm not trying to scare you, Dom. I'm trying to show you the truth. Your brother? He's better than you, smarter, stronger. And soon, the whole world will see that. Dom doesn't flinch, but inside something twists. Otto is playing mind games, planting seeds of doubt. But Dom knows one thing for certain. Jacob might be his enemy now, but Otto? He's just a parasite feeding off power he didn't earn. Otto straightens his cuffs. Enjoy your stay, Toretto. Not that you have much of a choice. With that, he turns and walks away, his laughter fading down the corridor. Left alone, Dom closes his eyes, willing himself to focus. His breath steadies, but his mind drifts back, to his past, to the moment that changed everything. The prison walls seem to melt away as Dom finds himself standing at the racetrack once again, watching his father climb into his car. The sounds of cheering fans echo around him. The sunlight glints off the hood, the roar of the engine sending vibrations through the ground. But something is different this time. Dom sees it now, something he had missed before. He sees Jacob. His younger brother stands at the edge of the pit, his face tense, his fists clenched. Their father gives him a slight nod, one that Dom never noticed as a child. It's an unspoken message, a secret shared between them. Then the race begins. Dom watches as the cars speed down the track. His father's vehicle surges forward, but something is off. He isn't pushing as hard as he should be. It's as if Dom's heart pounds. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to lose. The car crash that took their father's life, it wasn't an accident. It was a choice. Jacob hadn't sabotaged the car out of jealousy or recklessness. Their father had asked him to do it, to protect them. The realization crashes over Dom like a tidal wave. He has spent years blaming Jacob, hating him for something he never did. He had exiled his own brother for keeping a secret, a burden that their father had placed on him. Dom gasps, snapping back to the present, his pulse racing. His father knew his time was up. He had rigged the car himself, making sure the accident happened in a way that would benefit their family, ensuring that debts were paid and enemies wouldn't come for his sons. Jacob had carried that guilt alone for years, and Dom had abandoned him for it. A newfound determination surges through Dom. He won't be locked away, not when he finally understands the truth. Not when he finally sees what needs to be done. He rolls his shoulders, testing the strength of his restraints. They won't hold. Nothing ever does. With a deep inhale, Dom plants his feet, gripping the bars of his cell. He pulls hard. Muscles strain, metal groans, and with a burst of raw strength, the bolts snap. The bars bend, just enough for him to squeeze through. The alarms blare instantly. Dom moves fast. He ducks through corridors, taking out guards with precise, brutal efficiency. One strike to the ribs, another to the jaw, and they go down. No hesitation. He finds a utility panel, rips out the wiring, and overrides the security system just long enough to slip through the back exit. He emerges into the cool night air, lungs burning, adrenaline surging. But he doesn't stop. Dom Toretto never stops. He hotwires the nearest car, a sleek black BMW. The engine roars to life and he peels out of the compound, tires screeching against asphalt. As he speeds through the empty streets, his grip tightens on the wheel. He has spent years believing Jacob was his enemy. Now, he knows the truth. Jacob wasn't trying to destroy him. He was trying to survive him. Dom isn't just racing toward another fight. He's racing toward redemption. And this time, he isn't going to let his brother go. The chase has been relentless. From the streets of Tokyo to the winding alleys of Edinburgh, Dom and his team have been on Jacob's tail every step of the way. Yet, Jacob always seems to be one move ahead, slipping away just as they think they've cornered him. But now, in the heart of a desolate, heavily fortified compound on the outskirts of London. Everything converges for a final showdown. The pieces are in place, and there's no more room for running. Dom pulls up to the compound, the engine of his charger growling to a halt. The air is thick with the weight of what's to come. Jakob has the second piece of Ares. The fate of the world is in the balance. But for Dom, it's not just about the mission anymore. It's about confronting his past, finally understanding the truth about his father, and finding a way to make things right with his brother. The team is assembled, ready for the fight of their lives. Letty, Tay, Roman, and Ramsey, each with their own skills and strengths, are prepared to do whatever it takes to stop Jakob. But Dom knows this is going to be different. It's personal. The battle isn't just against Jakob's forces or the technology that could control the world's weapons. It's against the years of pain and unresolved betrayal that have haunted their family. They move in as a unit, quietly at first. Dom leads the charge, his mind focused but his heart heavy. He knows what's at stake. Jakob is no longer just a threat. He's the brother Dom had left behind. This fight is as much about their fractured family as it is about stopping the Ares device. As they infiltrate the compound's outer perimeter, the team moves through shadows, bypassing security systems with ease. Roman grins as he disables a guard's radio, causing him to stumble in confusion. This is like playing chess with a bunch of checkers, he jokes, though the tension in his voice is unmistakable. Tay provides the tech support from behind the scenes, hacking into the compound's surveillance system. Got you covered? Cameras are looped. Go. But their presence doesn't go unnoticed for long. The alarms blare, echoing through the compound, signaling that Jakob knows they're here. Immediately, gunfire erupts from hidden turrets, and Jakob's mercenaries emerge from the shadows. The battle begins. Dom and Letty charge forward, working in perfect harmony, taking down enemies with swift precision. The sound of fists colliding with faces, the shattering of glass, the screech of tires as cars zoom by, it all blends into a symphony of chaos. Letty, fierce and unrelenting, is a blur of motion as she eliminates the opposition, her face a mask of determination. Roman and Tay, meanwhile, use their ingenuity to create distractions and hack into the compound's security to gain the upper hand. They blow up a nearby generator, throwing the compound into temporary darkness. Guess they didn't plan on that, Roman quips, though he's clearly in fight-or-flight mode. As the team pushes further into the heart of the compound, Dom's focus sharpens. His body is tense, knowing that the moment of truth is approaching. Jakob is here, somewhere in the chaos. Dom can feel it in his bones. He's not just chasing his brother anymore. He's hunting for closure, for redemption, and for a chance to heal a wound that's festered for too long. In the deepest chamber of the compound, Dom finds Jakob. Standing on a platform with the Ares device in his hands, Jacob stares at Dom with a mixture of resentment and something else. Pain, perhaps. The two brothers lock eyes. You always thought you were the better one, Jakob spits, his voice laced with anger. The stronger one, the one who deserved everything. But you were wrong, Dom. I'm just as strong as you, and now I'll prove it. Dom steps forward, his fists clenched. You're wrong, Jakob. I didn't want to be better. I wanted us to be together, but you pushed me away. You chose this path. Jakob laughs bitterly, raising the Ares device. This is my path, Dom. I'm taking control. The world will kneel before me just like you always did before our father. Dom's expression hardens. You think this is about our father? Jakob, this isn't about him. This is about you running from the truth. You're afraid to face it. Jakob freezes, his grip tightening on the device. What truth? he asks, his voice suddenly quieter, more vulnerable than before. The truth that Dad was trying to protect us. He knew his time was coming. He made the call to rig his car so no one else would take us down. But you couldn't see that. You were too blinded by your anger, by the idea that I betrayed you. Dom's voice cracks slightly, the weight of his words hitting both of them. I was never trying to hurt you, Jakob. I was trying to save you. For a moment, Jakob's eyes flicker, the anger fading, replaced by something darker. Regret, perhaps, or guilt. But before Dom can reach him, Jakob's resolve hardens once again. I don't need your pity, Dom. Jakob raises the device, and just as he's about to activate it, Dom lunges at him. The two brothers crash to the ground in a violent struggle, fists flying. The fight between Dom and Jakob is brutal. Two men bound by blood but torn apart by years of pain, battling not just for survival, but for the future. Dom's moves are calculated, his experience as a fighter shining through, but Jakob is no slouch. He fights with the raw intensity of someone who has spent too long in the shadows, someone determined to prove that he doesn't need anyone. They roll across the floor, each trying to overpower the other. The Ares device lies nearby, forgotten for the moment. Jakob's hand brushes the trigger, but Dom sees it. With a surge of energy, Dom reaches out, slamming Jakob's hand away just in time. I'm not going to let you destroy everything, Dom grits out. This isn't the way. Jakob's face contorts in frustration. Then what is, Dom? What's your way? You think you can just come in here and fix everything? It's too late for that. But Dom doesn't relent. With one final move, he pins Jakob to the ground, holding him in place. For the first time in years, he doesn't see his brother as an enemy. He sees the broken kid he once knew, the one who needed his older brother, even if he couldn't admit it. I'm not giving up on you, Jakob, Dom says softly. It's not too late. You don't have to do this. There's a long silence as Jakob stares at Dom, his chest heaving, the weight of everything they've been through hanging between them. Finally, Jakob exhales, his body relaxing slightly. The anger in his eyes fades, replaced by the weight of years of pain. I never wanted to hurt you, Jakob whispers, his voice barely audible. I just wanted to matter. Dom slowly releases his grip, standing up and offering his hand to Jakob. You do. You always have. Jakob hesitates for a moment, the conflict within him still raging, but then he takes Dom's hand. It's not forgiveness, but it's a start. With Jakob finally on their side, the rest of the team is able to shut down the Ares device, stopping it from falling into the wrong hands. The compound is dismantled, Jakob's forces retreating, leaving behind only the remnants of a battle fought in the shadows of their past. Dom, Letty, Roman, Ty, and Ramsey stand together, the air heavy with the weight of what they've all just been through. Jakob, though still haunted by his actions, stands with them, no longer the enemy. For the first time in a long time, Dom feels a sense of peace. The fight is over, but the journey, both for the world and for their family, has only just begun. In a saga known for its increasingly outrageous stunts and plot twists, F9, the Fast Saga delivers one of its most unexpected moments yet, a space mission. It all begins as the team comes together to formulate a plan to stop Jakob and secure the Ares device for good. Time is running out, and the pressure is mounting. Jakob's hold on Ares could mean global disaster if it falls into the wrong hands, but the only way to stop him is by disabling the satellite that's aiding his plan. The only problem? The satellite is so high up in the sky that the team has no conventional means to reach it. This is where Roman, Therese Gibson, and Tag, Ludacris, come in. Roman, ever the wild card, can't quite believe what he's hearing. But Tej, ever the tech genius, starts calculating. eyes widening as he comes up with a plan. The solution? A rocket-powered car. Wait a minute, Tay, Roman exclaims as he processes what his friend is proposing. You want us to drive into space? Tay, confidently adjusting his glasses, doesn't miss a beat. Not just drive, Roman. We're going to launch ourselves into space. Roman looks at Tay as if he's lost his mind. Man, I don't even like flying. I mean, I've been on planes, but rockets? Rockets aren't something you just jump into like they're an Uber. Tay just shrugs, grinning. You trust me with everything else, don't you? Well, I'm telling you, we can do this. Roman's unease is palpable, but in the end, the team has no other choice. With Jakob's forces closing in on them, it's now or never. The rest of the crew works together to build the rocket, a modified Pontiac Fiero, of all things, equipped with the kind of technology that would make even NASA raise an eyebrow. The day of the mission arrives, and the team gathers at a remote, secret location in the desert, far from any prying eyes. The rocket is prepped, and Roman can't help but stare at the Fiero, which looks absurdly out of place. He's in disbelief, trying to wrap his head around the fact that this is happening. You're telling me we're gonna sit in this thing, Roman says, glancing at the car, and then what? We just get launched into orbit. Tay, looking over the rocket controls with an expression of focused excitement, responds, "Ipe, and we're going to disable the satellite and come back down without any issues." Roman stares at him. What do you mean, come back down? You can't just take me to space and expect me to land safely, Tej. That's not how rockets work. Tay pats him on the shoulder reassuringly. Trust me, Roman. You'll be fine. I've got all the calculations right here. He points to the complex dashboard of data on his tablet. Roman sighs dramatically. I've been through some crazy stuff with you guys, but this... He shakes his head. I was perfectly happy with jumping cars off cliffs. Now, I gotta take a ride into space? Man, I might just stay in the car and let you go up there alone. Letty, ever the realist, walks over to Roman and smirks. You've done crazier things for this family. You'll do fine. Roman looks over at her with a mix of disbelief and determination. You're right. I'll do it. But when I get back, I better get a solid reward for this. Maybe a year of driving a car that's not in space. The team watches with a mix of pride and apprehension as Roman and Tej suit up, preparing for the most insane mission they've ever undertaken. They climb into the Fiero, and the countdown begins. 5, 4, 3. Tay calls out from the control center. Roman, strapped in and trying not to hyperventilate, looks out the small window and groans. I'm never doing this again, you hear me, Tay? Never again. Just stay calm and let me handle the rest, Tay responds. You just hang on. Don't tell me what to do. I'm the one who's gonna be up there. Roman protests, but he knows it's too late now. There's no turning back. 2, 1, ignition! Tay calls out, and the engine roars to life, sending them hurtling into the air at breakneck speed. The Fiero shoots into the atmosphere, breaking through the layers of the Earth's atmosphere. The force of the launch pushes Roman back into his seat as the world outside the small window distorts, turning into a blur of stars and blackness. Roman's voice is strained over the comms. Tay, I swear to God this better work. Tay's voice comes through, calm and collected as ever. Just a few more seconds, Roman. We're almost there. The satellite's coming into range. Roman looks out, his eyes wide as he watches the curvature of Earth shrink below them. Man, this is crazy. We're really in space. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's kind of beautiful up here. Tay, focused on the controls, nods. Yeah, it is. But we've got work to do. As they approach the satellite, the urgency becomes real. The satellite is part of the global weapons network that Jakob has linked to Ares, and Roman and Tay need to disable it before the device can be activated. With seconds to spare, Tay pulls a lever, activating a high-tech EMP device that will disable the satellite's power. Roman watches as the device hums to life. "This better work, Tay, or we'll be floating around up here with no way to get back." Tay's eyes remain locked on the controls. It's going to work. The EMP pulses, sending a wave of energy that disables the satellite systems. The countdown begins. "Satellite disabled," Tay says, allowing himself a brief moment of relief. "Now, we just need to make sure we get back down safely." The descent back to Earth is just as chaotic as the launch. As the rocket-powered Firo plummets back into the atmosphere, the G-forces push both men against their seats. The heat from re-entry scorches the exterior, and the car shudders violently. Roman grips the sides of his seat, eyes squeezed shut. "Tay!" Roman yells over the roar of the wind. "You're gonna kill us!" Tay, still calm, presses buttons and pulls levers with precision. "I got it. Just hold on." In a stunning display of sheer willpower and skill, Tej maneuvers the car through re-entry, guiding it back into Earth's atmosphere. It feels like an eternity before the parachutes deploy, and the Firo finally touches down on solid ground, bouncing slightly before coming to a complete stop. Roman exhales, the tension leaving his body. "Well, that was insane. I'm gonna need a long vacation after this." Tay laughs, pulling off his helmet. "We'll need one after all this is over. But hey, we made it back in one piece." Roman grins, still trying to process the fact that they just went to space. "I'll never doubt you again, Tej. Never. Just, next time, let's stick to something a little more grounded." The team gathers around as Roman and Tay exit the Firo, the satisfaction of a mission well done settling in. They've just averted global catastrophe, and the success of their audacious plan will go down in history as one of the most unexpected victories of their lives. The moment is brief, but it's a testament to their ability to defy all odds. No matter how outrageous, no matter how impossible it seems, the Fast family can always count on each other, and they're willing to go to the ends of the earth and beyond to protect the ones they love. With the pressure mounting, Tay and Ramsey get to work, using every trick they have to track Cypher's movements. They dig through layers of encrypted data, use every satellite they can access, and hack into government systems, all while knowing that Cypher is likely watching them in return. Tay frowns as he scans a series of codes on his laptop. "She's good. Really good. We've got eyes on the facility, but it's heavily shielded. If we go in blind, we'll be playing right into her hands." Ramsey glances at the map, narrowing her eyes as she picks apart the trail of digital footprints Cypher has left behind. "But if we don't move now, she'll vanish again. We have to anticipate where she's going next, not just where she is." Roman, always the one to bring a little levity, rubs his hands together. "I'll go wherever, as long as it doesn't involve getting shot at or blown up." Letty rolls her eyes. "Don't get too comfortable. We're all in this together. But Roman's right. We can't just run in without a plan." "We'll need backup," Dom says, stepping forward. "The more eyes we have, the better chance we'll have of taking her down." With their plan starting to take shape, the crew sets out for the remote location that Cypher has turned into her base of operation. The tension builds with every mile they cover. Each of them is ready to fight for what matters most, but in the back of their minds, they all know the world they're fighting for is teetering on the edge of collapse. When they arrive at the facility, the situation feels eerily calm. The landscape is empty, the compound quiet, too quiet. It's the calm before the storm, and they can all feel it. As they approach the heavily fortified building, Dom orders everyone to split into teams. Tay and Ramsey will work on disabling the security systems, while Letty and Roman provide backup on the ground. Dom and Jakob will infiltrate the core of the facility, where Cypher is believed to be hiding. "You ready for this?" Dom asks Jakob, his voice low as they prepare to move. Jakob nods, his expression grim but determined. "Yeah, let's finish this." Just as they breach the compound's outer wall, a loudspeaker blares to life, the voice of Cypher echoing across the compound. "Did you really think you could stop me? The world is already mine and you're just late to the game." The voice is calm, almost soothing, but there's a chilling undertone that sends a shiver down their spines. Cypher has been 2 steps ahead all along, and now they're walking into her final trap. The walls of the compound shift, revealing hidden turrets and automated defenses designed to take them out. Explosions erupt as the team dives for cover. They're surrounded. Dom, Jakob, Letty, and Roman fight their way through the compound, using every trick they know to navigate the maze of traps. The compound, which once seemed like a fortress, is now an obstacle course, one that Cypher has designed to keep them away from her. Jakob, moving with purpose, is no longer the man driven by vengeance. As he fights side by side with Dom, it's clear that his priorities have shifted. He's not fighting for himself anymore. He's fighting for something bigger. The family he nearly destroyed. "Stay focused," Dom orders as they make their way to Cypher's control center. "We need to end this now." As they enter the heart of the facility, Cypher stands before them, calm and composed, a stark contrast to the chaos surrounding them. "I was hoping you'd make it this far," she says, her lips curling into a cruel smile. "But I'm afraid this is where your story ends." But Dom and his crew are relentless. They won't back down. Not now, not ever. In a final, desperate struggle, they fight through Cypher's defenses, working together as they've always done. Dom faces Cypher one last time, his voice unwavering. "This is over, Cypher. You've lost." With a swift move, Dom disables the Ares device, ending Cypher's ability to control the world's weapon systems. The fight may be over, but the aftermath will be felt for years to come. With Cypher defeated, the world begins to breathe again. Governments work to regain control over their systems, and the global threat has been averted. Dom and his crew, battered but victorious, stand together. They've done the impossible once again. "Mission accomplished," Letty says with a smile, exhaustion evident in her voice. Dom looks around at his team, the people who have become his family. They've fought for each other and they've won, for now. But Dom knows that whatever comes next, they'll face it together. Family isn't just about blood. It's about loyalty, trust, and love. And with that, Dom and his crew have proven once again that together they can overcome anything. The dust from their latest battle with Cypher has barely settled. The world is safe, for now. After the relentless chase, the fights, and the seemingly insurmountable odds they faced, Dom and his crew can finally take a breath. It's not often they get to sit back and relax. But for once, the mission is over, and the weight of their victories and losses can be felt. The bond between them, forged in the fires of danger, remains unshaken. Now it's time for something familiar, something comforting, something that has always marked the end of every battle. The family barbecue. The sun begins to set over the small farm where Dom has tried to find some semblance of peace. The sky is painted with hues of orange and purple, casting a warm glow over the scene. It's quiet here, nothing but the sound of cicadas and the occasional flutter of birds overhead. But within this quiet space there's a sense of home that's never been more important. The barbecue pit crackles as the flames flicker, the scent of sizzling food wafting through the air, mingling with the light breeze. Dom stands near the grill, his expression serene, almost peaceful. It's a rare sight for him, this calm after the storm. For a man who spent so much of his life running, fighting, and carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, these moments of stillness are precious. This is what he's fought for. This is what he's always wanted. A family, a place to belong, a moment where the battles of the past don't seem so heavy. Letty walks up beside him, a gentle smile on her face as she joins him by the grill. She watches him for a moment, taking in the scene before turning her gaze back to him. "You look at peace, Dom," she says softly, her voice carrying the quiet weight of everything they've been through together. Dom glances at her, offering a small smile in return. "It's not often I feel like this." He takes a deep breath, watching the flames dance in the grill. "But when everything else is chaos, moments like these remind me of what really matters." Letty nods, understanding more than anyone else could. She's been by his side for so long, through every battle, every loss, every victory. And through it all, their bond has only grown stronger. "You've always had a way of bringing the family back together." At that moment, Roman and Tej pull up, their laughter filling the air as they exit their cars. Roman is the first to approach the grill, his signature grin plastered across his face. "Smells good over here," he calls out. "Did you finally learn how to cook, Dom, or is this just a backup plan in case we need something to eat after saving the world?" Dom chuckles softly, a rare moment of lightness breaking through his usually serious demeanor. "You can always count on me to bring the heat, Roman." Tay, ever the tech genius, rolls up behind Roman, adjusting his glasses. "I'm just here for the food. After what we've been through, I deserve something good to eat." He pats his stomach with a playful grin. "And no, I'm not here to grill. That's all Dom." Roman raises an eyebrow. "I didn't know you were the chef now, Dom. What's next? A cookbook? Cooking show?" Dom shakes his head with a smile. "I just know what's important." As they set the table, Mia walks over, holding little Brian's hand. The sight of his son, so full of life and innocence, is a balm to Dom's weary soul. Brian runs ahead, eager to join the others, and Mia catches Dom's eye. "You've come a long way, Dom," she says, her voice full of affection. "This is the family you've been fighting for. This is the life you've always wanted." Dom nods, his gaze following his son as he laughs and runs around with the rest of the crew. "It's not just about protecting them anymore, Mia. It's about showing them what family truly is, what we've built together." Mia smiles. "And we're stronger than ever." As the group settles around the long picnic table set outside, the sound of laughter fills the air. The tension of the past few days, weeks even, begins to fade into the background, replaced by the warmth of companionship and the simple joy of being together. The smell of food on the grill blends with the conversation, and for a moment, the world feels right again. As the evening progresses, the conversation turns toward the future. There's no denying the battles they've faced, the enemies they've defeated, and the scars they've all carried. But now, they have something to hold on to. They have each other. Roman leans back in his chair, holding a plate piled high with food. "You know, I never thought I'd be sitting at a table like this again," he says, his voice more serious than usual. "But here we are, a family that's been through hell and back." Tay raises his glass. "Here's to family," he says simply, his smile genuine. "To the ones who keep us going, even when everything else falls apart." The group lifts their glasses in a quiet toast. Letty, always the quiet force that holds everything together, adds. We've been through things that no one could have imagined, but we've always come out stronger. We always find a way to win. Brian, still a little too young to fully understand, looks around at all the familiar faces. Dad, are we all going to be together forever? He asks, his innocent voice breaking through the quiet. Dom looks at his son, his heart swelling with pride and love. Yes, Brian, we'll always be together. This is our family, and nothing is stronger than that. It's a promise. A promise that no matter what comes next, no matter what challenges the world throws at them, they will always stand united. Family isn't just about blood. It's about loyalty, sacrifice, and unwavering trust. As the night wears on and the food is gone, the crew lingers, unwilling to break this moment of peace. The Toretto family has been through more than most could ever imagine, but they've come out on the other side, not just intact, but stronger than ever. Dom, Letty, Mia, Roman, Tej, and Ramsey, each of them a pillar in their own right, each of them a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. But more than anything, they are family. Dom looks around at them, the ones who have become his closest allies, his most trusted companions. His heart is full, not just of pride, but of a deep sense of gratitude. They've fought for each other, and now they get to live in the peace they've so desperately earned. Everything we've been through, Dom says quietly, it wasn't just to keep each other safe. It was to build something bigger, something that lasts. Letty smiles at him, her voice filled with affection. It's not about the past anymore, Dom. It's about the future. And in that moment, Dom knows she's right. They've survived the impossible, and now they get to move forward. No more running, no more fighting. Just a family, bound by love and loyalty, ready to face whatever the future holds. The sun sets on the Toretto farm, and the family gathers around the table, together in a way they've never been before, whole, united, and ready for whatever comes next. The road ahead is unknown, but one thing is certain. Family will always be at the center of it. Because family, in the end, is everything. F9. The Fast Saga is, without a doubt, a cinematic roller coaster. It takes everything that the Fast and Furious franchise is known for: heart-pounding action, thrilling stunts, and most importantly, family, and cranks it up to 11. After nearly 2 decades of intense car chases, daring heists, and high-octane races, the franchise continues to defy the odds and push the limits of action cinema. At its core, F9 remains true to the franchise's heart: family. The film leans heavily on the relationship between Dom Toretto, Vin Diesel, and his estranged brother Jakob, John Cena, exploring the trauma, resentment, and ultimately, the bond that has always tied them together. This familial conflict is something that Fast and Furious fans have been waiting for, and it delivers in spades. Diesel and Cena bring their A-game, their performances rich with the emotional weight of years of unresolved issues. But while the emotional stakes are higher than ever, F9 doesn't forget what the fans love: the action. From a rocket-powered car launch into space, yes, you read that right, to explosive, gravity-defying car chases through jungle terrain, the film goes all out in providing jaw-dropping sequences. If you're a fan of fast cars, larger-than-life stunts, and the kind of action that leaves you gasping for air, this movie does not disappoint. The film also delivers on one of the most anticipated returns: Han Lu Sung Kang. After his apparent death in The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, his reappearance in Fine adds a layer of nostalgia for longtime fans, and it's handled with both humor and heart. His reintroduction into the family feels like the right piece of the puzzle falling back into place. As always, the supporting cast shines. Michelle Rodriguez continues to be the heart of the team as Letty, while Tyrese Gibson's Roman and Ludacris Sate provide much-needed comic relief, balancing out the high-stakes action with their banter and camaraderie. However, the film's true villain, Cypher, Charlize Theron, who was the mastermind behind the events in The Fate of the Furious, remains as menacing as ever. Theron brings a chilling coldness to the role, and the rivalry between Cypher and the Toretto family continues to set the stage for even bigger stakes in the future. What really sets F9 apart, though, is its ability to deliver on the promise of family. It's about loyalty, sacrifice, and redemption. There's a sense of closure for some characters, but it also sets up future storylines that leave you wanting more. The film balances heart and action with ease, offering something for both longtime fans and newcomers. F9 is not just about the cars, the explosions, or the fight sequences. It's about a family that, despite its flaws, will always come together in the end. And that is what makes this saga so. Thanks for watching our review of F9, The Fast Saga. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more reviews and movie updates. What did you think of the movie? Are you a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, remember, family isn't just about blood. It's about the bonds we share and the moments we make together. See you in the next one. F9. The Fast Saga is the 9th main installment in the Fast and Furious franchise, released in 2021. Directed by Justin Lin, who previously helmed some of the franchise's most beloved entries, the film continues the evolution of the series from street racing and heist films to full-blown, globe-trotting action spectacles. It takes the franchise's signature elements, fast cars, elaborate set pieces, and themes of family, to new extremes, delivering a mix of adrenaline-pumping action, nostalgia, and over-the-top storytelling. The movie starts with Dominic Toretto, Vin Diesel, and Letty, Michelle Rodriguez, living a quiet life in the countryside, raising Dom's young son, Brian. Their peaceful existence is disrupted when Roman, Tyrese Gibson, Tay, Ludacris, and Ramsey, Nathalie Emmanuel, arrive with a distressing message. Mr. Nobody, Kurt Russell, has sent out a call for help after capturing the cyber-terrorist Cypher, Charlize Theron. But his plane was attacked and crashed in a remote location. Dom initially refuses to return to the action, determined to leave that life behind for his son's sake. However, when he discovers that his estranged brother Jakob, John Cena, is involved, he is forced back into the fight. Jakob Toretto is introduced as a highly skilled operative working alongside Otto, Thu Ersted Rasmussen, a wealthy villain with ambitions of global control. Together, they seek to obtain Project Ares, a powerful device that can hack into and control any digital system in the world. This revelation also brings back painful memories for Dom, as the film dives into his backstory and his complicated relationship with Jakob. Through a series of flashbacks, we learn that their father, Jack Toretto, was a professional race car driver who died in a crash during a race. Dom, believing Jakob was responsible for their father's death, banished him from the family, creating years of resentment between the two brothers. As Dom and his team chase after Jakob across the globe, they face increasingly wild and dangerous situations. The movie features action sequences that push the limits of reality, including a thrilling high-speed chase involving powerful magnets that can flip and hurl cars, a gravity-defying bridge stunt, where Dom and Letty escape death in their Dodge Charger, and the franchise's most ludicrous stunt yet, sending Roman and Tej to space in a makeshift rocket car. These moments fully embrace the franchise's shift from grounded action to pure blockbuster spectacle. One of the most highly anticipated aspects of F9 was the return of Han Sung-kang, a fan-favorite character believed to have died in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift at the hands of Deckard Shaw, Jason Statham. His return is explained through an elaborate retcon. Mr. Nobody helped fake Han's death to protect him, and he has been in hiding ever since, looking after a young girl named Anna Sawai, who holds the key to activating Project Ares. This revelation is a major moment for fans, as Han's death was a lingering plot point in the franchise, and his return helps restore some emotional weight to the series. While F9 brings back many beloved characters, it also makes room for new additions. Jakob, played by John Cena, is positioned as a formidable antagonist, but his character development is somewhat rushed. Initially portrayed as a ruthless villain, his motivations become muddled, and his eventual redemption feels inevitable but underwhelming. Cypher, despite being set up as a master manipulator in the Fate of the Furious, remains underutilized, spending much of the movie behind glass in a high-tech prison rather than taking an active role in the conflict. The film also leans heavily on humor, primarily through Roman and Tej's banter. In one self-aware moment, Roman theorizes that their team might actually be invincible, pointing out how they have survived increasingly impossible situations without a scratch. While this acknowledgement of the franchise's absurdity is amusing, it also highlights how the stakes have become almost meaningless. No matter how dangerous the mission, we know the main characters will walk away unscathed. One of the central themes of F9 is the idea of family, a cornerstone of the franchise. The tension between Dom and Jakob adds a personal layer to the story, though it lacks the emotional impact of previous films' conflicts, such as Dom versus Brian in Fast and Furious 2009, or Dom's betrayal in The Fate of the Furious 2017. Despite this, the resolution, where Dom ultimately forgives Jakob and allows him to escape, reinforces the franchise's core belief in second chances and redemption. Visually, F9 delivers the high-energy spectacle expected from the series. The action sequences are choreographed with precision, and the cinematography captures the sheer scale of destruction and speed. The use of practical effects combined with CGI makes for a visually exciting experience, even when logic and physics are completely abandoned. However, the film is not without its flaws. The plot is overly convoluted, with multiple subplots that don't always mesh well. The pacing is uneven, with slower moments that drag between the action sequences. While fan service is a big part of the franchise's appeal, F9 sometimes leans too heavily on nostalgia without providing enough fresh storytelling. The absence of Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker, is still deeply felt, and while the film acknowledges his character's existence in the background, his presence is sorely missed. Overall, F9, The Fast Saga, is an entertaining, action-packed blockbuster that continues to push the limits of the franchise's spectacle. It delivers high-speed chases, explosive stunts, and the signature theme of family that has defined the series. However, it also suffers from a bloated plot, underdeveloped characters, and an increasing detachment from reality that might not sit well with all audiences. Fans of the franchise will likely enjoy the wild ride, but those looking for a more grounded or emotionally resonant story may find themselves missing the earlier films. While F9 is not the strongest entry in the series, it succeeds in keeping the Fast Saga alive, paving the way for the next chapter. John Cena as Jakob Toretto. John Cena was personally chosen by Vin Diesel to play the role of Jakob, Dom's long-lost brother. Diesel later revealed in interviews that he felt the spirit of Paul Walker guided him in making this decision. Since Walker, who played Brian O'Connor, was an integral part of the franchise's family dynamic, Diesel wanted someone who could bring a similar sense of presence and impact. Cena, a former WWE superstar and an established Hollywood actor, fit the role perfectly with his physique and action experience. Before F9, Cena had been a fan of the franchise and expressed excitement about joining such a massive cinematic universe. Han's return and the Justice for Han movement. One of the biggest surprises in F9 was the return of Han Lu, played by Sung Kang. Han was believed to have been killed in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, 2006, by Deckard Shaw, Jason Statham, an event that had major repercussions in the franchise. However, when The Fate of the Furious, 2017, turned Shaw into a quasi-hero without addressing Han's death, fans launched the #Justice for Han movement, demanding that his storyline be properly acknowledged. Director Justin Lin, who had a deep connection with Han's character since Tokyo Drift, decided to bring him back and crafted a new backstory that explained how he survived. Han's return not only satisfied longtime fans but also added emotional weight to the film. The franchise finally goes to space. For years, fans joked that Fast and Furious movies kept escalating their action sequences to such a degree that space was the only place left to go. F9 turned that joke into reality with a sequence where Roman Pierce, Tyrese Gibson, and Tej Parker, Ludacris, traveled to space in a modified Pontiac Fiero attached to a rocket. While the idea seems absurd, the filmmakers actually consulted scientists to ensure that certain aspects, such as the use of thrusters and space physics, had some degree of realism. Even though the scene is far from scientifically accurate, it became one of the most talked about moments in the franchise. The magnet chase scene was partially practical. One of F9's standout action sequences is the high-speed chase involving giant electromagnets. The magnets are used to attract and repel vehicles, leading to chaos on the streets as cars are pulled through buildings and flipped in unexpected ways. While much of the scene involved CGI, the production team also used practical effects. Some cars were rigged with strong magnets that could actually pull them into motion, giving the scene a more realistic feel. The stunt coordinators worked extensively to make sure that the physics, while exaggerated, still had some level of believability. Director Justin Lin's return to the franchise. Justin Lin, who directed Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, 2009, Fast 5 and Fast and Furious 6, made his comeback with F9 after stepping away for the 7th and 8th films. Lin had been responsible for shaping the franchise's evolution from street racing films to high-octane heist and action thrillers. His return brought back many of the elements that fans loved, including intricate car stunts and deeper character development. He also played a key role in bringing Han back and adding more personal stakes to the story. Cameos and Easter eggs. F9 is filled with surprises for longtime fans. One of the biggest cameos comes from rapper and singer Cardi B, who plays Lysa, a woman from Dom's past who helps him escape from the authorities. Her role is small but hints at a larger presence in future films. Additionally, Tokyo Drift fans were excited to see Sean Boswell, Lucas Black, Twinkie, Bow Wow, and Earl, Jason Tobin, return. They are now engineers working on rocket propulsion systems, an amusing nod to how the franchise has evolved since their street racing days. Brian O'Connor Tribute. Although Paul Walker tragically passed away in 2013, his character Brian O'Connor remains alive in the Fast and Furious universe. The film pays tribute to Brian in multiple ways, including a scene where Mia, Jordana Brewster, references that Brian is staying home to take care of their children. The most touching moment comes at the end of the film when, during a family barbecue, one of the franchise's signature scenes, a blue Nissan Skyline, Brian's iconic car, pulls into the driveway. While we never see Brian himself, this moment serves as a heartfelt nod to Paul Walker's legacy and reminds fans that Brian is still part of the family in spirit. Highest-grossing Hollywood film of 2021, until Spider-Man: No Way Home. Despite being released during the COVID-19 pandemic when theatrical attendance was still recovering, F9 managed to gross over $726 billion worldwide. This made it the highest-grossing Hollywood film of 2021 for several months, until Spider-Man: No Way Home was released later in the year and surpassed it. The success of F9 showed that audiences were still eager for blockbuster action films and reinforced the Fast and Furious franchise's place as one of the most financially successful series in movie history. The longest Fast and Furious movie yet. With a runtime of 143 minutes, 2 hours and 23 minutes, F9 is the longest entry in the franchise. While previous films generally stayed within the 2-hour range, F9 packed in so many characters, storylines, and action sequences that it became the biggest installment yet. Some fans felt that the length made the pacing uneven, while others appreciated the extra time given to backstory and character development. A real Pontiac Fiero was used for the space scene. The space scene in F9 might seem completely ridiculous, but the filmmakers actually built a real modified Pontiac Fiero for it. The production team worked with rocket scientists to design a plausible setup, even though the execution in the film is exaggerated for entertainment. While they obviously didn't launch the car into orbit, practical effects were used to create the weightless movement seen in space. The scene became one of the most talked about moments in the film and marked a milestone in the franchise's over-the-top action history.